Welcome to Timber&Terra. I'm Glenn. We are back here on this road extension that I finished up a video or two ago. And what I suspected might happen has, which is when I put this road in, it's down. I dug down about 10 or 12 inches, put gravel in, drove over it, compacted it. And so this happened. This is, I'm not going to step in it because it'll probably go over my boots, but it's probably about that 8 or 10 inches deep, and it is not flowing that way. Before this road was put in, there would be some standing water here after rain, but eventually after, say, 3 days to 10 days, it would dry up. Any excess water would run over there into the woods. But now that I've bisected this with a road, essentially a dam, it's not draining anymore. I thought about putting a drain in here, but one, I don't want to. It's just unnecessary work. I have fabric under there. I don't want to mess with that. And there's just no need of it. And the other reason is eventually this is going to be sort of a house site. So this can't be wet like this anyhow. There is a potential cabin site where that green ribbon is, and another potential cabin site where that green ribbon is. So what I've decided to do, which is something I was going to do probably next year, but because of our little lake here, I'm going to do it a bit sooner, meaning now, which is to establish a grade here so that this will all run off. So I have taken the white flags and put basically where the bottom of my swale that I'm going to create is going to be. I did take a laser level out here a couple days ago. Obviously I did not record it, but what I determined is that the level of that is about 7 inches lower than the highest little bit of hump here before it goes downhill. So that's really the most I'm going to have to dig out, because that was the surface water. I need to get to the bottom, so it might be 10 inches, it might be 20 inches, the deepest trench that I'll have to dig here. And I'm going to dig that trench, and I'll explain to you both here and on a piece of paper what my plan of attack is to dig a trench where those white flags are. Once I get to that last flag, it should be more than enough fall for that to drain. So a couple data points here. I'm going to show you two sort of cross sections on a sketch on a piece of paper. One will be in this direction, perpendicular to the swale or the ditch that I'm going to dig. So keep in mind the road of the little lake that we saw, and then the drainage area, which one good reference point is that rock. So from this point of view, where the road is, this is where I dug the road out and filled it back in with gravel. The lay of the land sort of goes like this. This is a little exaggerated, but just to show my point. So what we saw is the water was collecting here. So what I plan to do then is I'm going to dig a bit of a ditch here, just so this surface water can drain. But really what I want to do is establish the grade from here to here to make sure that when this little bump of earth is gone, then the water will just naturally drain that way. So that's what I'm going to do, is try to dig a ditch or a canal about this level to make sure, at least from here over, that I don't have any standing water in this ditch. What my plan is I'm going to take this dirt, this extra fill here, once I've removed the topsoil, and move it over here. So then the final grade will be something just, level with the driveway, and then slowly go down here. So over here we're near the rock, which is where I want all the drainage to go, and looking back in the opposite direction of the white flag. So I have the house site there to the right where that flag is, if you can see it, and the other flag, I'm guessing, is just, oh, there it is right there. You may not be able to see it. It's barely poking above the level of the grass there. So once I get to this last flag, this should be more than enough drop to drain that collection of water. So from this direction, I will explain what the eventual lay of the land is and how I'm going to attack it on a piece of paper sketch right now. So from this point of view, if I have a house site, basically let's say it's sort of flat here. One of the cabin sites is there, one of the cabin sites is here. This is sort of the roadway. We're looking that way into it. Then right here there's a standing water. My trench will be sort of like this. So then I'm going to use the bottom of this as a guide to sort of be the lowest point where the water is going to drain. And then when I take my dozer, after, again, assume that the topsoil is not an issue here, I'm just going to use this as my sort of my datum or data point for the lowest point, and then just use the dozer and just sort of grade that like that and blend it in as best I can with the existing lay of the land, so that all this extra material, when it's gone, it'll look sort of natural, but this will drain sort of towards us and towards that rock that I pointed out. So this project will probably take place over several days, if not weeks. My first order of business is to dig this trench that I mentioned, allow that to drain. So I'm going to start here, and then by the time I get up there, hopefully this trench has running water into that rock. That will allow this, hopefully this area, to dry out a bit. So when it comes time to do bulldozer work, it's not the sloppy mess that it would be if I tried to do it now. we've already established that I'm a very poor judge of distance, but I'm guessing this is about 100 feet that I've done, maybe a bit less. Anyhow, we are almost into where the standing water is, basically right here. have no idea how long this is going to take to drain. But the easy part was once I got sort of right about there, it really was just sort of skimming the grass, the topsoil off. There wasn't any need to go deep, since this is what I just need to go to the bottom of the water level, which is the top of the topsoil. This was just eyeballing it. I'm sure my grade is way off. So after things have drained, I'm sure there will be a puddle somewhere along here, or maybe all along here. And what I'll do then is go on this end and just sort of drain that puddle, and that should basically be sort of a slope downward the whole way, which is what I'm after. It's quite a bit of flow right there. It's like a little canal. So we'll see exactly how this makes its way into that little drainage rock area just on the other side of that big rock. I actually thought it would come over here, but it's going this way, which is probably okay, but it's actually sort of missing that. I think it might end up actually going in the ditch here and then that way. Yeah, it's right here. There it is the leading edge of the flood. So that's not the greatest thing in the world. What I might do then, knowing that's happening, is continue my ditch, my trench over that way to make that the low point and sort of force the water into the rock rather than into my ditch, because I don't want to overwhelm this ditch here, because it's really not that big. I wanted it to come through there. So much for estimating grade. See, that's what I mean by overwhelming my ditch. Plus, this is not a ditch that I was going to line or anything. It was never intended to have a lot of volume. Really was just going to bring grass up to the edge of it and sort of a bit of a swale. So, knowing I have to dig this a bit further and redirect, I guess I might as well do that now. So, not a huge amount of volume here, evidently, because in that short period of time that we walked down there and back, basically it's already down to the top of most of the topsoil. But I'll still go down there and redirect, since that's where I want it to be. Well, from the last white flag to right here is where I stopped, so basically right next to this rock. So I do have a little bit of flow here, I think only really because my excavator tracks getting out of here is what the water is following. But this is really soupy. But we'll see it. I think it should still head that way. And it is. There's the leading edge right there. Yeah, right there, coming around the rocks. See the mess up there. Really wet, nasty. But it's doing what I wanted to, so that bit coming through the ditch there now should subside to nothing here in a couple minutes. Well, that drained quickly, most of it. A lot of it, if it has to go through soil and grass, it's going to take a long time. But, so here it looks like it dropped maybe 6 inches or so. It looks like the water level is about here. Yeah, basically where I stopped with that last white flag is it was sort of washing over that way. So what I'll need to do now, let this, in the immediate future, let this dry out. We'll come back, we'll see what I need for modifications to this ditch, where I need to make it deeper. But this ditch is not just a drainage ditch. It's going to be sort of the low point of my swale. So as I explained in my, my sketches, going to basically use that as a reference and then sort of just, you know, bowl it up on this side. Scalp it up on this side, whatever term makes sense. I'm going to push the topsoil off to the side, then whatever additional depth I need of the underlying soil, which is the clay, I'll push towards that road. So we'll meet back here in a couple days to see what this hopefully dried out ditch looks like in the area and what modifications we need to make. So it is about a day later, and for the most part the standing water here is drained. It's still very mushy, even though this is above the water level, just because it's such a heavy clay and heavy soil. So obviously I do have a lot of standing water. This bit of standing water I'm not too concerned about. I dug this down really just to provide that drainage, the difference in height for the water level for it to drain into. But as we get to probably about here, which is where I want to make sure I have a slope downward, I want to eliminate this standing water. So I have standing water here and further down as well. So this standing water in this section here is what is most valuable to me to know, because I want this to drain, because this is the area where I want to make sure it slopes downward so that it all goes that way and I'm not creating any puddles here. Because remember, basically from where the dogs are this way, this ditch is going to establish my grade. So if my grade has an area for water to puddle, then the finished landscape will also have an area for the water to puddle, and I don't want that. Beyond there, we can see the little bit of grass that's a bit taller. Beyond that, I'm going to push this soil that way, so I'm not concerned. I'm going to fill in that ditch that I made. So I'm not too concerned about the standing water there. So I'm going to run my excavator up here and just make sure from here down the water drains and I do not have any more standing water in this area right here. So I like that a lot better, from basically where the standing water is there that way is all going to be built up with some clay, and then this will be brought down. So and this is draining just fine. Now the ideal way to make this trench would have been to use one of those transit or laser levels with a grade function on it. Mine does not, it is strictly level. So I could have gone through here. It would have been easier with a helper, which generally I do not have. You know, to go 10 feet and down an inch, another 10 feet and down an inch. But so here I just utilized my eye and then fine-tuned it once the water level established itself to figure out where I needed to dig it out a bit more. So this will work fine for the purposes of just making sure the field drains when the final contour, which will look a bit more like a very broad U shape, so that area up there will drain that away. So I'll let this dry out for as long as it takes. It may take several days, it may take a week or more, and then we'll come back. Well, it's been several weeks, maybe close to a month, since we were here last. Even though we haven't had rain for more than 2 weeks, there's still standing water here, which means two things. One is the soil's really dense, which I knew. The other thing is this does not have the continuous drain that I was looking for headed that way. So when I start sculpting this, I'll just have to dig a little bit deeper down there with the dozer. The other issue I'm going to have is these rocks. So I'm just going to push those into a pile. But the good news is the rest of this has dried out. The other bit of information that I need to keep in mind is basically just to the left of where the dogs are in the woods is my water line. It's a gravity fed spring. Has a plastic pipe that runs underground. I don't know how deep because I did not put it in, and basically goes right here. So, and I don't think I need to take that much off, if anything, over here. So for the most part, I'm going to concentrate over there, remove the topsoil, and then once the topsoil is away, then I can take the native clay and then push that this way to sort of fill in where that standing water, that little lake was. And then once I have the grade and the fall that I want so that the water runs that way, then I'll just push the topsoil back on. That'll be it. So lots of dozing. I'm guessing a lot of time lapse will be in order, since dozers don't work all that fast, and it's easy to get bored, at least for me, watching other people do dozer work. I enjoy the time lapse. So the first thing I'm going to do is take care of these piles, which basically was what was in the ditch. You can see here the elevation I need to make up. Right here is probably about 10 inches. Over here, probably 12 to 18 inches where the dog is. So I'm going to bring it level to the road, and then work to slope it off using this ditch as a guide, because this drained with the exception of that little puddle there. So from the driveway to the puddle, I think the grade is good. And then just from the puddle down, I have to make sure I dig just a little bit deeper. We are supposed to get rain in the next couple days, so I want to do at least enough so I can make sure that I have sort of the swale heading in the right direction before the rain. Then I can see if the rain is proving my theory correct, or my job. And then depending on how far I get today or tomorrow before the rain starts, I'll just continue on based on what the rain tells me. I could get a laser level out here and do that, but I just don't think it's necessary. And with one person, it's rather time consuming and tedious to do that. can see the technique that I'm using. Obviously there's not enough power and capacity with the dozer to take all the topsoil for the entire length of this little push. So I fill up the blade, and then when the track spin, I lift the blade up to get on top of the grass and then push it off and come back and do it again. I'm trying to avoid any big areas of rock like this. There's no sense having that in the topsoil. I just soon have that in the fill. It is pretty easy to distinguish the topsoil from the clay because the clay is so very gray and the topsoil is dark brown. And it's coming up fairly well. I mean, I actually wouldn't mind mixing in a little bit of the clay with the topsoil to sort of make the topsoil go further. It's very rich. You can see here, I am probably going a bit deeper than the topsoil. I'm guessing the topsoil goes down to about there. So it might be taking, say, 6 or 8 inches of topsoil and maybe a couple inches of clay, which I'm fine with. So now that this trench is getting deeper, I was sort of using that as a guide, but here you can probably make it out fairly easily that the topsoil is probably 2/3 of the way down. So that's why I want to put my blade here. So I don't want to yet get down to the bottom of this water. I just want to scrape the topsoil off, and then once the topsoil's off and I'm doing the shaping, that's when I want to use this trench here as a guide to make sure I have the right fall. So it's gonna be a lot of rinse and repeat here, so we'll just bring it back when I've made some progress. So the topsoil has been stripped away, at least with the area that I think should be enough to do what I want to do. I don't know if you can see the change, but it goes from a gray to a brown just over that hump. So there's quite a bit of material there that I plan to push this way and hopefully bring it up level with the driveway here. That'll do two things. One is it'll eliminate this drop off, but primarily it'll allow the entire area to sort of drain off that way. The stuff here to the right, this basically was where the trench was. You can see a little bit of water still there. This stuff to the right, I think I'm gonna sort of hold off on that to see what I need to do with this area, to the right of the trench, I mean, until I push this here and just see what that looks like. So the bulldozer's been tucked in, put away for the night. The day's coming to an end, so it's a good time to transition from removing topsoil to pushing dirt and trying to establish the new grade. Well, the forecast said there was a slight chance of just a sprinkle overnight, and we got a lot more than that. I forgot to check the rain gauge, so I don't know how much we got. I will put, I'll put a note here in the video right now as to how much we did get. I'm guessing maybe 1/4 of an inch, but it doesn't take much. So we have some puddles here. It is a bit slick on the top. I'm hoping once I scrape that sloppy stuff off, it will be a bit more dry and easier to work with underneath. So I did do my day job today, so I had just a couple hours. But so my goal here now really is just to provide, make sure I have the right drainage and the right slope so it just drains. We are supposed to get like 1.5 to 2 inches of rain tonight, so that's going to be much more of a test of this. So basically what my plan is, I'm hoping where I stop stripping the topsoil right there, that will be low enough. So I'm just going to clean that up, sort of make a start the shape of the swale in the center. So on the right hand side of this puddle I'll be taking material away, and on the left hand side of this puddle I'll be adding material. Well, I know this trench drains well, so if I can successfully get the water to here, then I'm good. But I dug this little groove here after I filmed what you saw there, because the flat part that I was working on actually came up a little bit. It was too level and actually sloped the wrong way. So this is about right. It's level to sloping this way. So this might be okay, but boy, this is hard on a dozer. It's hard on the driver. Hit these rocks. Actually, it's worse when the tracks hit a rock that's just barely above the surface, because there is absolutely no give, and it just gives you a shock to the backbone. There's a sizable one there, this one here. But I'm thinking this will drain okay, and this was a bit of a muddy mess. So this is really soft where the water was. So I'm sure I'm going to have some puddles up there. I may even have some over there. It's just the nature of the beast, but I just don't have time right now to do any more work on this. But I'm hoping this trench here will give me a good indication of whether this is the right elevation to be at, the right slope, the whatever, right terrain, and then I can sort of go from here and slowly slope it up to where I stop stripping the topsoil. But that'll be for another day. This was sort of a filler job as I was waiting for that utility pole to be replaced on the project of installing primary underground service. And that was done today, so I will turn my attention back to putting the electrical service in, and if the weather cooperates, then I'll work more on this. But this could very well be a project that waits till next year. I'm pretty sure putting the topsoil back on will wait until next year. The nature of work up here and in this particular type of soil, and I have other priorities that I want to get done before winter. So after another inch of rain overnight, or basically started at the very beginning of the day, so it's been about 12 hours. We have a lake here, which is fine because this is going to be raised up to the level of the road. I mean, the lake is not fine because it probably limits what I can do, perhaps the rest of this fall, because this lower level here I don't plan to drain out. But the more important thing is what it does here. Obviously this, as I suspected with my level, this was rather level as far as the ground goes. That little trench that I dug in with the corner of the dozer blade was either level or pitched that way. Looks like it was more level than pitching that way. So what this is telling me, obviously that little sort of damish thing, once it gets past there it runs down there fine, but basically where the dogs are is probably another foot or so lower, so I think I'll strip back the topsoil back to there, making sure I have the positive flow that I want off from that to come this way. And I sort of want to blend it in nicely with the existing terrain. I don't want to have any kind of a bump up, which is what I would do now. So the top of that grass is just going to be too high compared to the rest of that. But if I go back here, then pitching gently that way probably puts the finished grade of grass below where that is, and probably very close to where the dirt is there now. As it goes down pretty well from here. Well, I have the project over there, which is the primary feed to over there where the red trailer is, just to the left of that. So this is going to have to wait. Well, we're back here to this yard sculpting project. So I have I've extended the topsoil that I ripped pushed off a little bit further back towards the house, behind the dozer. I started pushing material this way, but I have my laser level set up because I want to see, I mean, I do have the water here, which is still in that little bit of a channel, as sort of a guide for levelness, but I have my transit or my laser level here to figure out exactly where I stand, basically where the dozer is. Do I have any room to move material this way still? I still have a lot of material that I want to push this way, but I'm afraid I don't have a lot of material left that I can push this way without getting too far to the left, which is a bit of a hump. But that just means a lot more topsoil to scrape off. And I don't want to interrupt the house side on the other side of that topsoil too much. And over here, I really don't have any room to steal. In fact, I need to add a little bit of height between here and that little island of wood, of trees. So I'm just going to go along and take some measurements. I have it set up so that level is just a couple inches here below. If I bring the base, which is just that clay sort of gravelly mixture in places, up to say 6 inches, 8 inches below here, I'm fine, because I can do a bit of a slope off here with the topsoil, which is what I want to have anyhow. But the main purpose, as you recall, is just so this area drains that way and I don't have a puddle or a lake like I have right now. So as you saw, I went along basically where the bottom of the swale is going to be to see what I had relative to that road, basically where the tripod is, and how much material, one, I have to move here, and the other is how much material I can take from there. So actually I'm pretty pleased. We'll still see if I have enough material to fill in this little hole where the water is, and a bit over there. But right now I'm 3 inches below where I want to be, so that needs to be brought up 4 inches. There probably is a better way to sort of note the grade or establish what you have and where you can take material from. This is pretty rudimentary, I guess, but that's what I did. You saw me use a tape measure. 8 inches, which means from that number 4 and this number 8, I have 4 inches of fall in the correct direction. So for the most part, I am heading downhill, except for right here where it's sort of level. And I can judge that by the water, because that water level is continuous all the way along this section. And obviously we're level with that. It does drop down a bit. Here's 9. Here's 10. But what I've determined my best bet is going to be, and then I go from 10 inches, I drop 4 inches here, and this, probably 25 feet of length or distance. This is 16, but then I really drop off. From 16 inches, I go down to 26. 29, I think that's 30 or something. So what I'm thinking is, if I strip a little bit more of this topsoil off, push it that way, I will have, make sure I have enough fall here, because where the dogs are is a little bit higher than this was sort of bottom of the original trench that I dug, where the 26 and the 30 inches are back behind me. So it looks as though I have enough material here to continue pushing up without having a sort of a low spot. Well, as you probably can guess, I did decide to utilize this here. Even over here, sort of where encroaching into where the house site is on this side, there is a hump. So there's a high spot between us and the four-wheeler. I think that's probably my best bet to utilize material, because then I can use more of that over there without making a too steep of a slope or an abrupt transition to this higher level over here. So all I've done so far is just push back the original sod pile back further to leave room for scraping up the new sod. So I'm going to use a slightly different technique here, more of a sort of a plow technique rather than a push technique. Well, that seemed to work out okay. It's hard to say if it would have been quicker just to push, you know, in push in sections rather than plow it like I did off to the side. I'm not sure which is quicker. I think it's easier to maintain grade with the plow, with the angle, rather than pushing. Particularly when you hit rocks, that's the most difficult part. Most of the soil is nice, it's easy to push, but you come across these big rocks, you probably saw some of them. It's not so much when the blade hits it, but when the tracks hit it. And the track will lift it up, and then you have to adjust the tilt on the blade, otherwise it'll dig in. But now that I've cleared all that off, I have a pretty good hump of material here that I can push straight away that way. And once I can get rid of that water, push it down the canal here, then push some of this to the left over there, where I also need a little bit of height. So I'll do a bunch of pushing, hopefully not break my back, riding over rocks, and we'll come back and check progress. So we're back out here, or I'm back out here, you never left, in this yard shaping, sculpting project. So you can see here the water level. This means it's level. I don't need a laser level to tell me that. So what I think I've done, I've basically scraped as much as I feel comfortable right now from the side over there, and I'm still a bit shy of what I thought I wanted over there. So what I think I'm going to do now is I'm going to eliminate this. I'm going to basically plow, make a trench with a dozer from where I know it's going to drain, where I know it's about a foot lower, and then right along here, and then start building it up. Well, this is becoming a little frustrating to say the least. It's so soupy and it's just a mess. I can't really push anything but sloppy stuff. There appeared to be a real soft spot here. I'm just wondering, concerned that I found a section where the water line is, which runs from the woods, but I think it's over there. I was thinking it would pass this way to the house, but it's possible it's right underneath here and into the woods. It would not have been a perfectly straight line to come over here, but it wouldn't have been out of the question. Well, I'll have to go. It's a gravity drain, so I should go back to the house to make sure it's still flowing cleanly. This is below the level of the spring, so if there was a significant leak, I would see water coming up through the ground, I'm pretty sure. So I'm hoping that's not the case, but it could be. I don't know why else there would sort of be a softer spot, which seems to be deeper than the level that I've dug here. I mean, over there I know it's soft, but there's a bottom to it. Here, I was afraid to find a bottom, because I'm afraid to get the dozer stuck. So this is not going to dry out quickly, and in fact it could be that I'm sort of at a standstill until next spring. In the spring, you know, after the thaw and things start to dry out, it will be a lot firmer. But yeah, well, we'll meet up again at some point to do something. Well, since we are here last, which has been probably a week, maybe more, I did actually more tracked in. I dug a little bit of a trench here to drain as much of these little puddles as I could. So that's really as best I can do. I think the slope is good enough, and here we are knocking on the end of October. If I'm going to do anything with this year, I'm thinking it has to be now. I think I might have said that before, but this warm, dry weather continues. We still can get warm stretches in November, but I wouldn't bank on it. So the next thing I'm going to do is push this topsoil back over here. I'll probably leave it a bit low there because I have that pile there just to the left of the bright sun that I'll use to fill in along the edge of the road so that it's, you know, slopes off the road onto the ground. Before I start to do that, before I start filming, I have a couple more passes I want to make down there, right along there, to bring that material this way. Because I have a bit more room to bring stuff this way, so when I put the topsoil back over there, then it you know, continues to slope down. So I'm hoping these little bits of water here can just be absorbed into the topsoil without creating too much of a muddy mess. I'll just do the best I can, leave it over the winter, and then in the spring I'll have to do some touch-up final grading, and then seed it if I need to. I'm not sure I will. The grass grows, sort of regenerates itself pretty quickly around here. Well, my daylight is leaving me. I'll do a little bit more with the lights on the dozer until I just can't see well enough to know what I'm doing as far as grade and the depth of the topsoil that I'm spreading. I'll probably spread the rest of this off camera since it's really just going to be more of the same, and we'll come back and when it's daylight and everything is done so we can see the finished product, at least for this year, and then close out the video. Well, the drone shot gave you, well, obviously an overhead view, but sort of the context of where this spot of ground is compared to, you know, the parcel and the road and so forth. So where we're standing now, where I'm walking, is where the trench that I dug was, so that I could drain the water towards that rock area. So as you can see, probably clear to see now, there's just all kinds of clumps. You know, that was very sod-filled topsoil, and the clumps do not grade out very well. Next year, I'll probably have a better luck at spreading this out a bit smooth, or I will add some topsoil that has aged, meaning the clumps have all decomposed. But actually what I'm looking forward to and thinking I'm going to do is rent a skid steer with a power rake on it. That would be my first time using one of those. Seen lots of videos and I've heard that they do wonders. So here's a closer look at the clumps in the grass. The lay of the land I'm happy with. I have not verified that I have a fall from the driveway or road all the way along here. I know that from there over to here there is probably 2 or 3 feet. The only question is, you know, do I have any dips in the middle that might puddle up? Just beyond the trailer is a large pile of sod. There might be 50 yards or so there. So I'll probably use that to do any sort of finish grading that I need to make sure I have the drainage, the fall that I need. So over here, not only did I have the clumps of sod and grass to contend with, this was really wet. Up here is where, you know, where the original problem started, which was really wet ground. It was basically a lake that did not drain through the ground. But I had quite the challenge trying to drain that off that way. I did enough so that I could spread it, but it's very soft, it's muddy, clumpy, but like I said, in the spring, should be a completely different story. And you can see here, I still have a foot, maybe more here, a bit less over there to bring up so that it falls gently away from the driveway. This project is on another video. It is just about to wrap up. I am scheduled for the state electrical inspector to come here within the week, hopefully to give the blessing there. I can sort of finish off that. That basically is the key for the power company then to run the lines from that pole way down there that you cannot see, but it's where the orange trees are near the town road. And then on that will sit a transformer. But for this, we're done for this year. Glad to finally get that done. It was sort of an on and off project for, boy, the better part of maybe 3 months, maybe more. Anyhow, I know it was a long video, so thanks for sticking around till the end. Appreciate it. Hope to see you on the next one.